The silent screamed the deep space monitoring station Aurora 7 floated at the edge of known civilization like a metal lighthouse in an ocean of stars. Commander Sarah Chun had been stationed there for 3 years, watching the endless void for signs of life, threats, or anything that might interest the Galactic Council. Most days brought nothing but cosmic background radiation and the occasional merchant vessel requesting navigation updates. Today was different. Dr. Marcus Rivera burst through the command center doors, his usually neat hair disheveled and his tablet clutched against his chest like a precious artifact. Sarah had never seen the calm xenobiologist move so fast or look so excited. "Commander, you need to see this immediately," Marcus said, his voice trembling with anticipation. "We've received something unprecedented." Sarah set down her coffee and turned from the observation window, where she had been watching distant stars. The main display screen flickered to life, showing wave patterns that made her breath catch. These weren't random signals or natural phenomena. They were clearly artificial, deliberately crafted, and incredibly complex. The signal originated from Sector 247 Gamma, Marcus explained, his fingers dancing across the control interface. That's deep in the void zone, where no ship has ever returned from. But Sarah, this isn't just a distress call. It's something remarkable. Zix Tar, the station's insectoid communications officer, clicked his mandibles together in what humans had learned was excitement. His compound eyes reflected the screen's glow as he translated the signal patterns. "Commander Chun, this transmission contains mathematical proofs of peaceful intent. Prime number sequences, universal physical constants, even artistic patterns that demonstrate advanced cultural development." Sarah studied the patterns flowing across the screen. Each pulse seemed to tell a story, and somehow she could feel the desperation behind them. "How long has this been transmitting?" "The signal degradation suggests it's been broadcasting for approximately 47 standard days," Marcus replied. "But here's what's truly extraordinary. The mathematical complexity increases over time, as if they're teaching us their language while asking for help." The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. An unknown civilization had been calling for help for over a month, broadcasting from a region of space so dangerous that the Galactic Council had declared it permanently off-limits. The void zone was where space itself became unstable, where the laws of physics bent and sometimes broke entirely. "Have you informed the Council?" Sarah asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. Zixtar's antennae drooped slightly. "Yes, Commander." Their response was immediate and absolute. "No, rescue missions will be authorized for the void zone." They classified the signal as an acceptable loss and ordered all stations to cease monitoring Sector 247 Gamma. Sarah felt anger building in her chest. The Galactic Council was composed of species that had achieved space travel through caution and careful calculation. They made decisions based on mathematical probability and acceptable risk ratios. The idea of sacrificing guaranteed safety for unknown beings was incomprehensible to them. "Show me the detailed analysis," Sarah commanded. Marcus pulled up additional screens displaying his xenobiological assessments. "Based on the signal complexity and cultural markers, we're looking at a highly advanced civilization. Their mathematical concepts are beyond anything in Council databases. But Sarah, there's something else." The screen shifted to show spectral analysis of the signal source. The transmission patterns suggest multiple sources broadcasting in harmony. This isn't one ship or facility. It's an entire population. "Population estimates," Sarah asked quietly. "Conservative calculations suggest between 50,000 and 2 million individuals," Marcus replied. "Commander, we're not talking about a small expedition that got lost. This is an entire civilization trapped in the void zone." Sarah turned to the communications console. "Zixtar, open a channel to Earth Fleet Command. Priority Alpha authorization." The insectoid officer's mandibles clicked nervously. "Commander, the Council has specifically forbidden any rescue attempts. Earth Fleet Command will likely support the Council's decision." Then we'll see what humans do when they're told something is impossible, Sarah replied with a grim smile. The connection to Earth took several minutes to establish across the vast distances of space. Admiral Patricia Hayes appeared on the main screen, her weathered face showing the kind of experience that came from making difficult decisions in the depths of space. Commander Chun, I assume this is about the Void Zone's signals, Admiral Hayes said without preamble. The Council has already contacted us. Their position is clear and frankly reasonable. The Void Zone has claimed 17 ships over the past century. No one survives those conditions. Admiral, with respect, those 17 ships weren't human ships, Sarah replied. They were built by species that prioritize safety and efficiency. Human ships are built expecting everything to go wrong. Marcus stepped forward, adding his voice to the argument. Admiral Hayes, the signal analysis indicates a dying civilization with knowledge that could advance galactic science by centuries. We're not just talking about saving lives. We're talking about preserving irreplaceable cultural and scientific heritage. Admiral Hayes was quiet for a long moment, her eyes studying the signal patterns displayed on her screen. Sarah could see the internal struggle playing out across the Admiral's face. Military training emphasized following orders and respecting Allied decisions. But human nature demanded action when people were in danger. What kind of timeline are we looking at? Admiral Hayes finally asked. The signal strength is degrading exponentially, Zixtar reported. Based on current deterioration rates, complete signal loss will occur within 96 hours. After that, we'll lose their position entirely, and the Void Zone's current stability. Marcus consulted his readings. Gravitational anomalies are at minimum levels for the next 72 hours. If we're going to attempt this, it has to be now. Admiral Hayes nodded slowly. Commander Chen, I'm officially ordering you to maintain your current position and continue monitoring duties. Any deviation from this order would be insubordination. Sarah understood the careful wording. Official orders that provided plausible deniability if things went wrong. Understood, Admiral. We'll maintain our position. Good. I should also mention that Captain Elena Vasquez and her crew aboard the rescue vessel Prometheus are currently conducting routine patrol exercises in your sector. Their communication systems have been experiencing intermittent failures, so they might not receive any recall orders for several hours. The screen went dark, leaving Sarah with a mixture of anticipation and terror. Elena Vasquez was known throughout the fleet as someone who specialized in impossible rescues. Her ship, the Prometheus, was a human-designed vessel built for exactly the kind of mission the Galactic Council considered suicidal. Zixtar, have we received any communications from the Prometheus? Sarah asked with deliberate formality. No, Commander. Their communication array appears to be experiencing technical difficulties. 20 minutes later, the Prometheus docked with Aurora 7. Captain Elena Vasquez strode onto the command deck like she owned the universe. She was shorter than Sarah, but carried herself with the kind of confidence that came from surviving situations that killed other people. I understand you have some interesting signals to show me, Elena said without preamble. Sarah activated the main display, showing Elena the signal patterns and analysis. The rescue captain studied the data with the intensity of a predator evaluating prey. Her crew had joined her on the command deck, each specialist examining the information from their particular expertise. Chief Engineer Thompson, can we modify our shields for Void Zone conditions? Elena asked. Jake Thompson, a massive man whose hands looked too big for delicate engineering work, nodded confidently. The gravitational shear will be brutal, but we can reinforce the structural integrity fields. Won't be comfortable, but we'll hold together. Navigator Luna Okafor was running calculations on her portable computer. Captain, the gravitational anomalies actually create opportunities. If we time our approach correctly, we can use the distortions to accelerate beyond normal engine capabilities. Dr. Rivera stepped forward with additional data. Captain Vasquez, there's something else you should know. The signal patterns indicate the source is moving. They're not stationary. Whatever these beings are doing, they're actively traveling through the Void Zone. Elena's eyes lit up with the kind of excitement that would have terrified most rational beings. So, we're not just rescuing a stranded population, we're chasing them through the most dangerous region of known space. That's an accurate assessment, Sarah confirmed. Outstanding, Elena grinned. I was afraid this might be easy. Elena turned to address her crew. People, we have 96 hours to do something the Galactic Council says is impossible. We're going to enter a region where space itself doesn't follow normal rules, find an unknown civilization that's been broadcasting distress signals for 47 days, and bring them home safely. Chief Thompson cracked his knuckles. Sounds like Tuesday, Captain. Navigator Okafor was already plotting approach vectors. Captain, I recommend we enter the void zone at minimum engine power to avoid destabilizing local gravitational fields. We can increase velocity once we're inside and have a better understanding of the conditions. Do it, Elena commanded. Sarah, we'll need Aurora 7 to maintain communication relay as long as possible. Once we're deep in the void zone, you'll be our only connection to the outside universe. Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. We'll keep the channel open until the last possible moment. As the Prometheus prepared for departure, Dr. Rivera made one final observation. Captain, the mathematical complexity of these signals suggests we're dealing with beings whose intelligence might exceed our own. Whatever's trapped them in the void zone, it's not something they could have avoided through better planning or superior technology. Elena paused at the airlock, considering this information. Then it's a good thing we're bringing human stubbornness instead of superior intelligence. The Prometheus undocked from Aurora 7 and began its approach toward Sector 247 Gamma. Sarah watched from the observation deck as the rescue ship's engines flared bright against the darkness of space. In a few hours, they would either achieve the impossible or disappear forever into the cosmic anomaly that had claimed so many ships before them. The signal from the void zone continued its desperate broadcast, mathematical pleadings for help that grew weaker with each passing hour. Somewhere in that twisted region of space, an entire civilization waited for rescue that the Galactic Council had decided was impossible. But the Council had never met humans who specialized in making the impossible look routine. Into the abyss, the Prometheus crossed the boundary into the void zone exactly 73 hours after receiving the distress signal. Captain Elena Vasquez felt the ship shudder as they entered a region where the fundamental laws of physics became suggestions rather than absolutes. Status report. Elena commanded as the bridge lights flickered and stabilized. Chief Engineer Jake Thompson's voice came through the communication system with noticeable strain. Captain, our engines are working harder than they should just to maintain position. It's like space itself has different density here. Structural integrity fields are holding, but I'm reading stress patterns I've never seen before. Navigator Luna Okafor stared at her instruments with a mixture of fascination and concern. Captain, our navigation systems can't establish a consistent reference frame. The stars outside are shifting position relative to each other. Either the entire universe is moving, or we've entered a region where distance and direction don't work the same way. Elena had expected challenges, but the void zone was proving even stranger than the theoretical models suggested. Through the main viewport, space looked wrong somehow. Stars appeared to bend around invisible curves, and occasionally she could swear she saw the same constellation in two different directions simultaneously. Signal strength from our mysterious civilization. Elena asked Dr. Rivera, who had volunteered to join the rescue mission, monitored the alien transmissions from the science station, getting stronger as we proceed deeper into the zone. But Captain, I'm detecting something else. The signal isn't coming from a single source anymore. It's coming from multiple points that seem to be orbiting each other in patterns that shouldn't be gravitationally stable. Show me. Elena ordered. The main screen displayed a three-dimensional representation of the signal sources. Elena stared at the pattern, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. 7 distinct transmission points moved in complex orbital relationships around what appeared to be empty space. Each source pulsed with the same mathematical patterns they had detected from Aurora 7. But now the complexity had increased dramatically. "They're teaching us," Dr. Rivera said with growing excitement. "Look at the pattern progression. Each orbital cycle introduces new mathematical concepts. They're literally conducting a real-time education program while calling for help." Elena felt a chill of admiration for beings who could maintain such intellectual discipline while facing catastrophe. Any indication of what's keeping them trapped? Chief Thompson's voice returned with an edge of worry. "Captain, I'm reading massive gravitational distortions centered on the empty space those signals are orbiting. Something's down there that our sensors can't detect, but it's massive enough to bend space-time like a black hole." "But not a black hole," Luna added, studying her gravitational readings. "The field variations are too regular, too organized. This is artificial, Captain. Something built this gravitational anomaly." Elena processed this information while monitoring the ship's approach. They were dealing with an unknown civilization trapped by some kind of artificial gravitational construct in a region where normal physics didn't apply. The situation was getting more complicated by the hour. "Distance to signal sources?" Elena asked. "Approximately 4 hours at current velocity," Luna reported. "But Captain, the gravitational distortions are intensifying. We're going to need to modify our approach vector continuously just to maintain course." Elena opened a communication channel to the entire crew. "All hands, this is the captain. We're about to attempt something that violates several fundamental principles of safe navigation. We're flying toward an artificial gravitational anomaly that's trapping an unknown number of alien beings in the most dangerous region of known space. Standard procedures will not apply." She paused, looking around the bridge at her crew. These were people who had volunteered for the most dangerous missions in human space. They had followed her into impossible situations before and somehow emerged victorious. "Chief Thompson, I need you to prepare for continuous modifications to our structural integrity systems. Navigator Okafor, forget everything you know about standard orbital mechanics. Dr. Rivera, keep monitoring those signals and try to establish some kind of communication protocol." The next 4 hours tested every system on the Prometheus and every skill her crew possessed. The gravitational distortions created a three-dimensional maze where normal engine thrust could suddenly become a liability. Luna guided the ship through approach vectors that changed moment by moment as the local gravitational field shifted. Jake worked miracles in the engine room, rerouting power systems and modifying shield generators to compensate for stresses that no human ship had ever been designed to handle. Several times, Elena heard him cursing at equipment that was performing beyond its theoretical specifications. Dr. Rivera made first contact. "Captain," he called out suddenly, his voice filled with excitement and terror. "I'm receiving a directed communication. They know we're here." The main screen filled with symbols that seemed to move and shift even while remaining perfectly clear. Elena stared at the alien mathematics, somehow understanding that she was looking at the first intentional communication between humans and whatever beings were trapped in the gravitational anomaly. "Can you translate it?" Elena asked. "Working on it," Dr. Rivera replied, his fingers flying over the translation algorithms. The mathematical foundation is similar to their distress signals, but the complexity is exponentially higher. They're using mathematical concepts I don't recognize. Luna looked up from her navigation console with wonder in her eyes. "Captain, they're sending us navigation instructions. Look at the pattern correlation with our current trajectory." Elena studied the alien symbols and realized Luna was right. The beings were somehow calculating the gravitational distortions in real time and providing guidance to help the Prometheus approach safely. "Follow their instructions," Elena ordered. "If they've survived in this environment, they understand it better than we do." The alien navigation guidance led them through a series of impossible maneuvers. Elena watched their trajectory curve through space in ways that should have torn the ship apart, but somehow the gravitational fields worked together to create a stable approach corridor. Then they saw the Keepers, the main viewport filled with a sight that left the entire crew speechless. 7 massive crystalline structures moved in perfect orbital harmony around a central point that seemed to bend light itself. Each structure was easily the size of a large space station, but they moved with the grace of living beings. "They're beautiful," Dr. Rivera whispered. The crystalline beings were transparent, but somehow substantial, their forms shifting between geometric perfection and organic flowing curves. Elena could see that each structure contained thousands of smaller crystalline beings, all moving in coordinated patterns that resembled nothing so much as a vast living symphony. "Captain," Jake's voice came through the communication system with awe. "I'm reading impossible energy signatures from those beings. They're somehow maintaining stable existence in gravitational fields that should have crushed them into component atoms." Elena opened a communication channel, hoping the translation protocols Dr. Rivera had established would work. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the human vessel Prometheus. We received your distress signal and have come to offer assistance." The response came immediately, translated into words that appeared on a main screen with crystalline clarity. "Humans, we know this designation. You are the beings who enter dangerous places to preserve life. We are the Keepers. For 10,000 cycles, we have maintained the archive of civilizations at the center of this gravitational construct, but the construct is failing. Soon, all knowledge we have preserved will be lost to the dimensional collapse." Elena felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. These beings weren't just asking for rescue. They were guardians of galactic knowledge, and they were facing the destruction of everything they had protected. "What kind of knowledge?" Elena asked. "The complete historical, scientific, and cultural records of 847 civilizations that have achieved space travel over the past million years. Mathematical proofs that unite quantum mechanics with cosmic-scale physics. Artistic works that represent the highest achievements of biological and artificial intelligences. Everything that makes the galaxy's intelligent life meaningful." Dr. Rivera looked up from his console with excitement. "Captain, they're offering to transfer the archive to our computers, but the data volume is enormous. It would take weeks to complete the transfer, and our storage capacity isn't sufficient." Elena studied the gravitational readings Luna was providing. The central construct was definitely destabilizing, and the safe approach corridor they had used was beginning to collapse. "How long do we have?" Elena asked. The Keeper response was immediate and terrifying. "Gravitational collapse will begin within 7 standard hours. After that point, the dimensional barriers will fail, and this entire region will cease to exist in normal spacetime." Elena opened a channel to her crew. "People, we have 7 hours to figure out how to save the galaxy's knowledge archives and evacuate 7 massive crystalline beings from a collapsing pocket dimension. Standard operating procedures officially don't apply anymore." Chief Thompson's response came back immediately. "Captain, I can jury-rig our computer storage systems to accept the data transfer, but it'll mean shutting down non-essential systems and transferring ship operations to manual control." "Do it," Elena ordered. "Luna, I need escape vectors that can get us out of here in under 7 hours. "Working on it, Captain," Luna replied. "The good news is that the gravitational collapse will actually create a slingshot effect if we time our departure correctly. The bad news is that the timing has to be perfect or we'll be crushed along with everything else." Elena looked at the beautiful crystalline beings orbiting their failing construct, guardians of knowledge that represented the highest achievements of galactic civilization. They had called for help across impossible distances, and somehow their signal had reached humans who specialized in impossible rescues. "Dr. Rivera, begin the data transfer. Chief Thompson, prepare for system modifications. Navigator Okafor, calculate our escape trajectory. We're going to save the archive and get everyone home." As the Prometheus began receiving the accumulated knowledge of nearly 1,000,000 years of galactic civilization, Elena realized they weren't just attempting a rescue mission. They were becoming the guardians of everything that made intelligent life in the galaxy meaningful. The real test was just beginning. The price of courage, the data transfer, began with a sensation Elena had never experienced before. The Prometheus shuddered not from physical stress, but from the sheer volume of information flowing into their computer systems. 1,000,000 years of galactic civilization poured through their networks like a digital tsunami. Transfer rate is exceeding all theoretical maximums, Dr. Rivera reported, his voice filled with wonder and concern. Captain, this isn't just data storage. The information is somehow restructuring our computer architecture to accommodate concepts we don't have words for. Chief Engineer Jake Thompson's voice crackled through the communication system from deep in the ship's engineering sections. Captain, I've shut down everything except life support and essential navigation. Our computers are running at 340% of rated capacity, and somehow they're not overheating. It's like the alien data is teaching our systems how to be more efficient. Elena watched the transfer progress while monitoring the gravitational readings from the failing construct. They had started with 7 hours. Now they had less than 4, and the Keeper's orbital patterns were becoming increasingly erratic as the central gravitational field destabilized. Transfer completion estimate. Elena asked, at current rates, 5 hours and 17 minutes, Dr. Rivera replied, Captain, we need more time. Navigator Luna Okafor looked up from her calculations with the kind of expression that usually preceded very bad news. Captain, I've run the escape trajectory algorithms 47 times. There's only one flight path that gets us out before the dimensional collapse, and it requires us to begin our departure in exactly 3 hours and 12 minutes. Elena stared at the numbers on her screen. They needed over 5 hours to complete the data transfer, but they had to leave in just over 3 hours or face certain destruction. The mathematics were clear and unforgiving. Options? Elena asked. We could partially complete the transfer and evacuate early, Dr. Rivera suggested reluctantly. Save maybe 60% of the archive. Unacceptable, Elena replied immediately. These beings have protected this knowledge for 10,000 cycles. We're not abandoning 40% of galactic civilization's achievements because of a scheduling conflict. Jake's voice returned with a new edge of determination. Captain, what if we don't evacuate the Keepers? What if we evacuate their knowledge and let them continue protecting the archive from inside our computer systems? Elena felt a chill as she understood the implications. You're suggesting we transfer their consciousness along with their data? The archive isn't just information storage, Dr. Rivera added, following Jake's reasoning. The Keepers are integrated with the knowledge they protect. They don't just store the information, they are the information. Elena opened a communication channel to the Keepers. We need to discuss a modification to the evacuation plan. The crystalline being's response came immediately. We understand your temporal constraints, Captain Vasquez. We have been calculating the same mathematical limitations. The transfer of knowledge and consciousness is possible, but it requires a sacrifice from your vessel. What kind of sacrifice? Your ship's computer systems must be permanently restructured to accommodate our consciousness matrices. The Prometheus will become a hybrid vessel, part human technology and part Keeper archive. Your crew will become partners in maintaining galactic knowledge rather than simply passengers on a rescue ship. Elena looked around her bridge at the crew members who had followed her into the most dangerous mission in human history. These people had already risked everything to save beings they had never met and preserve knowledge they couldn't fully understand. Crew opinion. Elena asked. Chief Thompson's response came first. Captain, I've been working with hybrid human-alien technology for 3 hours now. It's the most beautiful engineering I've ever seen. I say we become the galaxy's first human Keeper hybrid vessel. Navigator Okafor nodded enthusiastically. Captain, the navigation possibilities alone would revolutionize space travel. We could explore regions that no single species vessel could survive. Dr. Rivera was practically vibrating with excitement. Captain, We would become the guardians of knowledge that includes the secrets of faster-than-light travel, quantum consciousness transfer, and mathematical proofs that could advance human science by millennia. Elena realized she was looking at the birth of something unprecedented. Not just a rescue mission, but the creation of a new kind of vessel that would represent the best of human determination and alien wisdom. Begin the consciousness transfer. Elena ordered. What happened next challenged every assumption Elena had about the nature of reality. The Keepers didn't simply upload their minds into the Prometheus computers. They merged with the ship itself, creating a living synthesis of crystalline consciousness and human engineering. Elena felt the change immediately. The ship's responses became more intuitive, more alive. When she thought about navigation, she could sense Luna's expertise, enhanced by Keeper knowledge of gravitational mathematics that spanned cosmic distances. When she considered engineering problems, Jake's practical skills were amplified by 10,000 cycles of maintaining impossible technology. Transfer completion in 97 minutes, Dr. Rivera announced. But Captain, we're not just receiving data anymore. We're becoming something new. The Keeper consciousness that had merged with their systems spoke directly into their minds with voices like crystalline music. Captain Vasquez, your species' determination to preserve life and knowledge has created something unprecedented. We are no longer just keepers. We are human keepers, guardians of knowledge, who can travel beyond the safe boundaries that have limited our protection to this single location. Elena could feel the weight of galactic history flowing through the ship systems. Mathematical concepts that would have taken human scientists centuries to develop were now part of their basic navigation algorithms. Cultural achievements from hundreds of species were preserved in memory banks that would never degrade or fail. 1 hour to departure, Luna announced, Captain, our escape trajectory has become much more complex. The Keeper knowledge is showing me navigation paths I never imagined possible. Elena opened a communication channel to Aurora 7, knowing this might be their last contact with the outside universe. Commander, plot a course for the next archive, Elena ordered. We have work to do. The Prometheus, no longer entirely human, but carrying the best of human courage and determination, set course for the unknown regions beyond mapped space. Behind them, the Galactic Council scrambled to understand how a simple rescue mission had transformed into the birth of a new kind of guardian that would protect knowledge and life throughout the universe. The signal had been clear. SOS, save our souls. The Deathworlders had reacted instantly, and in saving others, they had become the guardians of everything that made existence meaningful. Their real mission was just beginning. Chun, this is Captain Vasquez. Mission status update. Sarah's voice crackled across the vast distance, strained by the interference from the void zone. Elena, we've been monitoring gravitational disturbances from your location. What's your status? We've successfully rescued the Keepers and their archive, Elena replied. But Sarah, we're not coming back as the same ship that left. We've become something new. A hybrid vessel that carries the preserved knowledge of nearly 1 million years of galactic civilization. There was a long pause before Sarah responded. Elena, the Galactic Council has been monitoring our communications. They want to speak with you immediately. Elena looked at her crew, now enhanced by the presence of ancient crystalline consciousness that had spent 10 millennia protecting galactic knowledge. They had entered the void zone as a simple rescue ship. They would emerge as guardians of everything that made intelligent life meaningful. Put them through, Elena said. The council communication came through as a collection of voices representing 12 different species, all speaking with the authority of beings who had never attempted anything as dangerous as what the Prometheus had just accomplished. Captain Vasquez, the lead council voice, began, You have violated direct orders and entered a restricted zone. However, our long-range sensors indicate you have achieved something unprecedented. Please explain your current status. Elena felt the Keeper consciousness flowing through her words as she responded. Honorable Council members, we have successfully preserved the archive of civilizations and evacuated the Keepers who maintained it. The knowledge of 847 spacefaring civilizations is now secure aboard a human keeper hybrid vessel. The Council's response was immediate chaos. 12 different species began speaking simultaneously, their voices mixing into an incomprehensible storm of disbelief, excitement, and bureaucratic concern. 30 seconds to departure, Luna announced, "Captain, the gravitational slingshot window is opening now." Elena made a decision that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. "Council, we're departing the void zone now. When we reach safe space, we'll transmit our complete mission logs. But I want to make something clear. The knowledge we now carry belongs to all intelligent species. We're not keeping it, we're sharing it." The Prometheus engaged its engines and began the escape trajectory that Luna and the Keeper Consciousness had calculated together. Elena felt the ship accelerate through gravitational fields that bent space itself, using the collapse of the dimensional construct as a cosmic slingshot to achieve velocities that normal physics said were impossible. Behind them, the void zone collapsed into itself, creating a brief new star that flashed once and then faded into cosmic background radiation. The pocket dimension where the Keepers had maintained their vigil for 10,000 cycles ceased to exist in normal spacetime. "We're clear," Luna announced. "Velocity is decreasing to sublight speeds. We're back in normal space." Elena opened a communication channel to the galaxy. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Human Keeper hybrid vessel Prometheus. We carry the preserved archive of civilizations and offer to share this knowledge freely with all intelligent species. Our mission parameters have changed. We are no longer just a rescue ship. We are guardians of galactic knowledge, and our services are available to any beings who need protection or assistance." The response came from Admiral Hayes at Earth Fleet Command. "Captain Vasquez, you've created a diplomatic situation that's going to keep the Council busy for decades. Every species in the galaxy is going to want access to that archive." Elena smiled, feeling the crystalline consciousness of the Keepers harmonizing with her human determination. "Admiral, that was always the plan. Knowledge belongs to everyone." Dr. Rivera looked up from his station with wonder in his eyes. "Captain, the Keeper Consciousness is showing me data about regions of space beyond the current galactic boundaries. There are other archives out there, other civilizations that need protection." Elena looked at her crew, now enhanced by alien wisdom and carrying the responsibility of preserving galactic knowledge. They had answered a distress signal and ended up becoming something unprecedented in galactic history.